Welcome to the Human Frame podcast.
With me, Łucja. Today I'm joined by Marta Bonito. Marta is an actor, writer and theatre maker whose work explores the intersections of body, identity and resistance. And there's probably other things you also do, but the one that I definitely want to talk about the most. Yes. As I mentioned, she's the creator and performer of My Body Is Not Your Country, a powerful solo show staged at the Camden Fringe 2023, which confronts questions of ownership, autonomy, and the lived experience of women. Marta uses theatre as both art and activism, creating work and challenges silence and amplifies women's voices. Her practice is rooted in storytelling and as a tool for empowerment, sparking dialogue on human rights and gender equality. Thank you for joining me today, Marta. It's so great to have you and have a little conversation.
It's a pleasure.
And there's obviously so much more that you do as well. But yeah, as I said, thanks so much for joining me. And I'm just going to go right into your background and what drew you first to theatre and acting specifically.
Yes, thank you for inviting me and thank you for that bio. Very generous about my background. So when I was a child, I was the classical child that makes shows for the family and makes choreographies in front of the mirror and all of that. But as I grew up, I've never thought about acting as a career or as a job that I could actually go through. So I study other things. I studied journalism and communication sciences, where I went through journalism part and cinema as well. And then I did a master in literature. So acting and dance, I could say, they went with me through my path, but never as something I could do for a living, let's say. And I tried to enter some schools when I was in my early 20s, saying, okay, I'm going to try. And if it doesn't work out, I'm going to forget acting and all of that. And well, I didn't enter, but I didn't forget acting. It was when I applied for several drama schools in the UK. And then I was in and I was like, yay. But through this phase of trying out, I've worked a lot in hybrid plays and films, an intersection between reality and fiction, and a bit of an intersection between theatre and cinema, what it is cinema, what is theatre, what is fiction, what does an actor do when they are just rehearsing and when they're actually doing the thing. So there was a lot of a mixture of life, real life and fiction, and a lot of these projects had a huge social impact. For example, many of them were built not just with actors but also with unemployed people, with minority groups, etc. So this impacted hugely also my work from there. Yes.
And was there a moment when doing all of that you realized that there could be a link between art and creativity, but also using it as a tool of resistance or activism? Because I mean, your play does do that quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think all of these projects gave me that, but I think it's something that more consciously or less consciously, I believe that it was a power force, performance, acting and art in general, I would say, for activism. For example, when I was little, in late 90s, that I remember very clearly. It was during East Timor, was Portuguese invaded this island back in the 16th, 17th century. And after the revolution in Portugal in 74, all of the colonies, of course, and finally they had like independence movements, and this was one of them. But then with Indonesia as a neighbor, they had a lot of invasions, and Indonesia claimed East Timor and all of that. And during the 90s, all of, we can call it as well, a genocide and invasion from the Indonesian forces. It was very strong, and the international community was waking up again. And I remember I was like, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 years old. And I remember that my parents took me to this manifestation in pro of the East Timor people. And I remember that everyone was dressed in white. So I suppose it was like a dress code thing for the piece. We made like a circle, hand in hands, and we were singing a song that Portuguese band from the 80s made this song for East Timor, and it was something like, if your grandparents' voices cannot speak anymore, we're going to speak for you. So I remember that this song had like a super powerful message. And when I read your question, suddenly this song came to my mind so strongly that I was like, oh, this is here inside me somehow. So it's a great example of how art in general and activism can really go hand in hand.
Because it sits in you, doesn't it? Because it obviously created like a really strong emotional response to you that made you like remember it, which is such a powerful and beautiful thing of art, is the fact that it's the emotion and how the audience is affected is what makes you want to do something or act or whatever. And that's how you know it's like a really great performance.
Yes, absolutely.
And I mean, you kind of mentioned with that song, but have you got any other kind of big influences on shaping you as an artist today and the work that you've done?
I think because my path wasn't directly related to acting, so I didn't turn 18 and went to a school to study acting and all of that. Because I've studied journalism and literature, I think all of these things were with me. In academic studies were also my interests. I wanted to be a war journalist when I was a teenager. So I think all of these themes and especially related with migrants and women are very connected with my artistic practice.
And now just moving on to My Body Is Not Your Country. What inspired you specifically to create that? Was there a particular moment or something happened or did it just come to you? I don't know. I'm really curious to hear.
Yes. So I'm very obsessed with the concept of borders, the concept of a line that says that here is X and here is W or something like that. And this space that divides but can also join these different spaces together. So I always wanted to do something from this. And then living in London and living there for almost 7 years. And at the time, it was like after COVID. So I felt a huge feeling of being a migrant because many people left London or my network was a bit crumbling apart and all of that. So this kind of stamp of being a migrant, even if I'm an European white heterosexual woman, was very loud, especially being an actor, I would say, because we have to be inserted in certain stereotypes, boxes, and all of that. So in the beginning, I was very resistant to do something based on my experience because of what I just mentioned, white woman, European, blah, blah, all of that. So I went back to read a lot of Greek plays. I went to the origin of the tragedy. And there's a character that I love, which is Cassandra, the one who can see the future and all of that. So I went back to Trojan women and all of the war, and being also in a context of Russia invading Ukraine, and knowing that a lot of crimes against women are war weapons, like rape, etc. So I started like creating a lot of dots connecting not just my experience, but with women who I know. I've worked with an Ukrainian director, and I had a lot of insights about what was happening and all of that. And then from what was happening around me and from my experience, it was like an urgency to go back to my grandmothers. So both of my grandmothers migrated in different circumstances, and I went back to them to find out also what was happening to me in a way. So it was a lot about a female body that in different times and contexts go from A to B to live, to try to find a better life, but also like my desire and my urgency to move in the world. Like I like to live in different places. I like to move. I like to go. And this it can be a beautiful thing, but also gives me a sense of not belonging anywhere and of not creating any roots. So I was just crossing all of these feelings and concepts and present contexts and situations.
Because like you said, it's like very much human nature to want to move. Like it's very natural for humans to migrate, whether it's to a different city in the same country or a completely different country. So like you said, it's not like a weird random thing that people do, or they pack up and they go somewhere. It has been done since the beginning of humanity. So it's quite interesting to see why there's such a massive divide with borders. I mean, because, you know, some people want to get rid of borders in general, whilst others don't, because there's a deep connection to roots and all that kind of stuff. So it's just interesting to explore the boundaries, which is exactly what I think what you did, not having a boundary between or a border of where you can discuss these different things. The really interesting thing was also the specific female experience as well, because as you said, in wars, women are disproportionately affected in terms of, I mean, men can also be raped, but, you know, women don't rape. And it's used as a weapon of war in that instance, because we're taking over your country and we're going to take over the bodies in that instance. So it's really interesting to kind of go through that. And I just wanted to look at the title itself, My Body's Not Your Country. Like, what does it mean to you personally, and why did you choose that as a title?
So my first title was Cassandra in the Purple Knickers, because my grandmother tells a story that she was in this purple underwear. And then as I was developing all of this, I finally arrived to My Body's Not Your Country, because it's like a comparison of the female body with a piece of land, and we all know that the female body so many times is colonized or tried to be invaded in a physical way, in a verbal way, in many ways. So my statement is, the title is also the statement of the play, is like, this is mine. It's my right to own it. I recognize it. So you can't come here and do whatever you want. It's like a statement, a manifest.
Yeah, I know. I love the title. I think it's such a powerful thing that kind of is what made me want to watch your performance as well, because I was like, that sounds amazing. But I'm also curious, what is your grandma's story? Because now that you've said purple knickers, I want to know more.
Yes, so my grandmother, she migrated to Germany when she was 33 years old. And at the time, it was 71, 72. Portugal was still in a dictatorship. So my grandfather was already in Germany, and she had to fly to Germany. Back then, everyone had to be submitted to a health checkup. So she went to this hospital, this health center, let's say, and she and more women, like a lot of more women, I think more than 10, they were stripped, stayed in underwear, and then like in a line, as if they were like entering a camp or something like that. And they would be checked. And for my grandmother, who was 33 at the time, she wasn't embarrassed or feeling humiliated because of the situation itself. But when she tells the story now in 2025, she still blushes because she was like, I was the older one. So 33, she was old for the time. And she was like, and I had my underwear was like lavender, purplish, and everyone else, they had like proper underwear. They were young, and I had these ones that I made myself. So they were a bit like baby nappies that she actually made for me for the performance. So when I'm in these lavender purple underwear, it's to symbolize this moment.
I think it's really beautiful that you've connected that because, like you said, it's no matter where you're moving, even if it's moving to Germany or wherever it is, it's still like, not knowing the language, not knowing, not having family, like all those kind of things that you normally take for granted when you have those. So it links back to human rights, isn't it? It's when you have the human rights that you don't realize what you have unless they're taken away, which is very similar to this, right? In the sense of when you
Yeah,
migrate,
in this
yeah.
situation, what really, for me, it's the situation itself. Like you have like a bunch of women taking their clothes off and being there super exposed to whoever for, yeah, it's not very comfortable. No, it's not very like even I would say safe in a way. Like people, they're just like treated a bit like animals in a worst sense of just stay there, take off your clothes, da da da.
And in terms of when you see theatre as a form of activism, or do you see it as a form of activism? And if you do, how do you think performance can spark change differently than like campaigning or, what people you normally do?
I think performance, storytelling, art in general, but let's go to theatre and performing specifically. I think they have the superpower of having real bodies on stage where an audience can see them, can hear them. They are breathing, they are sweating, they are reacting in real time. And I think humans are weird creatures. So I think to actually react and feel something, people have to have a kind of proximity with the situation that is happening. So I think theatre and performing and storytelling gives this sense of proximity with stories that otherwise are very far away from us, for example, or it gives examples, specific examples that are also universal, that people can relate to. So this proximity is very powerful. It's very different from like handing flyers and talking to people in the streets, for example. It's a silly example, but that's part of the traditional campaigning. So I think this proximity that theatre, storytelling, and performing gives to an audience is much more efficient than others because it creates boundaries straight away.
Yeah, and I guess I've been looking more into like the role of storytelling in campaigning as well. even through traditional campaigning perspective, it's embedding storytelling to it, which is what theatre and, performance is all about. It's all about telling a story and creating that emotional impact, which, like you said, kind of gets rid of that boundary of, oh, I'm asking you to do this. You don't know these people, but like, can you support the cause? Whilst, as you said, when you see real people, real bodies on stage, I don't know, it's more, you gain a more of a connection and experience with it. Maybe it's also because it's obviously for a longer period of time as well.
Yes, it's also like the aftermath. It also stays with you. I just think we are quite selfish humans. I think it's also like a lot of to do with this capitalist society and all of that. So just the things that are in our bubble are the ones that we can actually look straight away and care about. So I think it's super important to give examples, to give like specific stories, to try, for example, I think for artists, when a play or when something really wants to talk about abstract universal concepts and all of that, I think it's much more direct if we tell a specific story, because this is going to link to other people's, even in a small kind of part of the story, but it will touch them because it's human. We don't need to go through big universal values, abstract things to tell about these things. Like a specific story about a neighbor can just trigger that.
In My Body Is Not Your Country, your body and your voice are obviously central instruments. So how does it feel to embody such themes on stage, both as an artist and as a woman?
It was very scary and very personal, but it just felt right. Like with a big caps lock, right. It just felt right. In a way, as a woman and as an artist, because I think I can't really, in my practice, I can't really dissociate one from the other. I think it was just what I had to do for myself, for my grandmothers, for my mom, for my sister, for my friends, for people I admire, for trying to plant little seeds somehow in this awareness of migration and of female bodies.
And what role, I mean, we kind of touched on this, but what role do you think storytelling and performance can play in challenging control, silence, or violence against women's bodies as a whole? Because obviously when you're on stage and doing all these things, you're centering the body as itself. What effect did you want it to have?
I think as artists, we have like the privilege that when we are creating and when we are putting something on stage, we have a public voice. We can actually tell these things. And so on stage, we are giving voice to those who cannot speak. For example, I truly believe in that. And I truly believe that it can also encourage people who cannot speak to speak and to defend what they believe, or to build empathy to other people that they can't have like this public space to defend their rights. I think that's it's not our duty, but I think it's our privilege that can be used in many ways.
What impact did you want the audience to have? Like, what did you want them to go away with?
I wanted audiences to be moved by these themes of migration, movement, and there's a lot about abuse also, about the female body, a lot about heritage. I think I wanted people to think about it, to think about people who are living in other countries for different reasons, not just because they're trying to run away from war or to try to have a better life, or just putting out there for people to think about these things, to have curiosity about the other, for the other to not be a threat, but to be something that everyone can relate to. I think that was the main thing that I wanted. And then I also wanted, I don't know, ideally that parents are going to teach their sons in a better way how to treat women and other minorities, in an equal way.
What kind of reactions did you get from the performance? Like, what did people say? Were there any responses that stayed with you specifically?
I had a lot of what the looks. Because it's not like a narrative structure, so it's like glimpses and puzzles of different stories. The form is quite abstract, but on the other hand, I think it's because of that abstract form that everyone could relate to something, and that really moved me. People were telling me that different parts of the play they could relate to, so it was a kind of a prismatic mirror that people could feel, and that for me was super important.
And how do you hope audiences carry the play on with them after they've seen it?
It relates to what I was expecting the audience to feel from the play. So it's about seeing the other in a nurture and empathic way, mostly. Just came to my mind that My Body Is Not Your Country. I did first a reading, then I did a scratch night. And on my first scratch night, it was just after all of the Iran manifestations for women, and where women started cutting their hair and all of that. And on my scratch night, because of course it was a scratch night, it was just one, I cut my hair in the end of the performer, and it was like a gesture and of course a manifest of everything that was happening around me. And I remember there was this little girl, she was around 7, 8 max, I think. And during the questions, she asked me, "Did you really cut your hair?" And I showed her the hair. Yes, I cut it. It's here. And I think I don't know how to really explain it, but this is what I expect from the audiences to carry with them. It's like, this really happened. This is really happening. She's telling this. This is not happening to her, but it's happening to someone else. It's happening right now. So I think it's what I really want audiences to carry with them. It's about breaking this anesthesia about what is happening around us and actually really do something, because I believe that we all can do something.
Oh, I'm a massive believer in that as well. And are there any other stories that you feel called to tell in the future? I want to know if there's any other things that you want to like build upon or move beyond My Body's Not Your Country, or I don't know, or through it or around it. I don't know.
I really want to build on My Body, and I actually want to, because I wrote most of it in London during lockdown and after. So there's a lot of mixed contexts. And now that I'm back to the city where I grew up after many years living somewhere else, and I would like to add this part of going back to the geography that maybe I should know better, but then it's not. And then I also feel as a migrant here. So how to put this in my body and how to relate also with everything that is happening in the world, and also how people's mentalities are still, in a way, very closed in small places and all of that. So I would love to add this section.
I feel like a lot of people nowadays have that because we all move in different places. You don't feel like a national, I want to say, I don't know, that's the right word, in your own country. Because I know when I go back to Poland, it doesn't feel the same, but then I also feel an outsider here. So it's like, well, where do I belong? I think that's such an interesting thing as society is getting more and more multicultural. So yeah, can't wait to read whatever you come up with or to see it.
So I had here a book that influenced me in the writing of My Body's Not Your Country, which is a Polish author. So you're going to help me with the surname. It's Olga Tokarczuk, Czuk. And it's called Travels. So I have some of the voiceovers in my play from lines from her book, just a suggestion.
I think I have one of her books on my shelf I need to read.
Apart from adding on my body, this little section, I'm writing a monologue, very different form from My Body, that is about labor and sexual harassment. So it's going to be a funny, silly way of talking about labor and sexual harassment.
What made you want to do that? Because I feel like that's quite a big contrast between, funny and sexual violence.
It's because it's a situation that I've been dealing with recently, and I don't want this to be a sad story. I want it to be something that I can, in a very serious way, laugh about it.
I mean, laughter is a really good medicine, I think. I mean, I definitely use it a lot of the time. Yeah, no, that's going to be really interesting to see how you marry the two together. I don't know. I think it's also sometimes when I was at uni and they did a lot of stuff, did a Holocaust module, and it was about humor in the Holocaust and how survivors use humor. I think Life is Beautiful is a really good example of that, how he uses humor to tell the story of the Holocaust and not show one, what you normally see when you see a Holocaust movie, which is death, gore, all of that kind of horrible stuff, but done in a way, but it's still as emotionally impactful. You can have the same impact but through a completely different narrative. And finally, if you could send a message to young women through your work, what would you want them to most hear about owning their bodies and their voices?
I'm going to read it because I wrote it and I don't want to forget any word. I want to tell them that absolutely no one has the right to make us feel unsuitable, humiliated, small, irrelevant, or less through any kind of verbal or physical expression. And if that happens at any point in your life, I want you to grab all of the energy and courage to report, to denounce those who have behaved like that. It is 2025. We live under exceptional circumstances, and I believe community and friendship are the only answer to resist. That's
such a powerful note to moved on. So thank you so much, Marta, and it was great to catch up with you
Thank
again
you.
and have such a short but powerful conversation at the same time.
I really admire what you're doing. So you have all of my admiration and support.
Thank you.